There's a strange moment that happens in life. When you realize the things hurting you are not always the things themselves, but the meaning you quietly attach to them. A message gets ignored. Someone's tone changes. A person you care about becomes distant. And suddenly your entire mood shifts. Not because the moment was truly powerful, but because your mind gave it power before you even noticed it happening. That's the part most people never stop to examine. We move through life reacting automatically. Someone disappoints us and we instantly feel rejected. Someone criticizes us and we begin questioning our worth. A small failure becomes proof that we're not good enough. And over time, these reactions become so normal that we mistake them for reality. But they're not reality. They're interpretation. And there's a difference. Two people can experience the exact same situation and walk away feeling completely different. One person breaks down over it. The other barely thinks about it again. The event stayed the same. What changed was the meaning each person gave it. That realization changes everything. Because once you understand that your suffering is often amplified by interpretation, you stop seeing yourself as powerless. You stop believing the world controls your inner state completely. You begin to notice something important. Between what happens to you and how you respond to it, there is a space, a very small space. But inside that space is your freedom. Most people never enter that space because they react too quickly. The mind rushes to conclusions. A delayed reply becomes abandonment. Silence becomes rejection. A disagreement becomes disrespect. The story forms instantly. And once the story forms, the emotion follows. That's why so many people feel emotionally exhausted all the time. They're not only carrying reality, they're carrying assumptions, fears, imagined meanings, and old wounds connected to the present moment. A single comment suddenly feels heavier because it touches something unresolved inside you. That's why healing is not just about changing your environment. It's about becoming aware of the lens through which you see it. The Stoics understood this deeply. They believed that external events are unpredictable, but your relationship to those events can be trained. Not by suppressing emotion, not by pretending not to care, but by learning to pause before assigning meaning to everything. That pause is powerful, because when you pause, you begin to separate facts from interpretation. You ask yourself, what actually happened? Not what you feared happened. Not what your insecurities suggested happened, but what truly happened. And that question alone can save you from so much unnecessary suffering. Over time, you start noticing your patterns. You notice how quickly your mind creates stories, how often you assume the worst, how easily you tie your worth to other people's behavior, and slowly something inside you becomes calmer, not colder, not emotionless, just steadier. You still feel disappointment, but it no longer destroys your peace. You still experience rejection, but it no longer defines your identity. You still face difficult moments, but you stop turning every difficult moment into evidence that something is wrong with you. That is real strength. Not becoming unfeeling, but becoming aware enough that emotions no longer control your entire reality. Carl Jung once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Most people never realize how much of their pain comes from unconscious patterns they repeat daily. The need for validation, the fear of being ignored, the habit of assuming they are not enough. These patterns quietly shape reactions without permission. But awareness changes that. The moment you can observe your reaction instead of immediately becoming it, you begin reclaiming control. And that's where peace starts. Not when the world finally behaves the way you want. Not when people stop disappointing you. Not when life becomes perfect. But when your inner stability no longer depends on external conditions. That's the shift. You stop needing constant reassurance to feel valuable. You stop letting temporary moments define your entire identity. You stop handing people the power to decide your emotional state. And as that happens, life feels different, lighter, clearer, less chaotic internally. The world around you may remain unpredictable, but you are no longer shaken by every little thing the way you once were. Because now, instead of reacting automatically, you understand yourself. And once you truly understand yourself, the world loses much of its power to disturb you.